Hey everybody, Tristan here from RC Bros 2000, as you all know. And today we have Pyro with their level 14 upgrade. And it's been a long time since she's been on the bench. So what we're doing today is going to be a simple upgrade, but a little, I stress that, educational. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, and that's why I'm doing this video. Usually I would not. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be installing the Traxxas XL-5 3rd generation. If you guys didn't know, the XL-5s have a total of 5 generations, at least that I know of. The first generation was during its original launch, which was just a standard XL-5 ESC. There's no waterproof, no nothing, and you can easily tell it by the yellow plastic it was casted in. The next generation was the introduction to the waterproofing. So, and to introduce that, they dyed it blue, and that's what you normally will see with the XL5s nowadays. The 3rd generation was the introduction of the lithium polymer battery cutoff, low voltage detection. And the only difference between the XL5 2nd generation and 3rd generation was actually the banner behind the Traxxas logo at the top, right underneath the heatsink. That's the only way you can tell if that's a 3rd generation or 2nd generation. So that's really what I'm talking about with the educational part, is because that's a very small detail, and if it is white, it's the 2nd gen. If it's black, it's the 3rd generation. After that, we have the low profile version, which did not incorporate the heat sinks. Now, with those with no cooling on them, my only experience with the 4th generation XL5s were not great. Those things burnt. I had one that burnt out pretty much the next month. And then the final one, which is the newest one, which is the 3S version, which can handle 3S lipos. Other than that, yes, we are going from the 2nd gen to the 3rd gen. And it's not that big of an upgrade, but with my younger brother now getting into lithium polymer batteries, I would like to have him having the low voltage detection instead of running one without. That way he doesn't blow up the batteries. So, with all that said, guys, let's move on into the video. As you guys can see, this ESC has seen better days, but luckily the ESC still works good. It's not burnt out, it's just the plastic around it is falling apart. So good news is it still can be reused, but with my brother being introduced to lipos, I still want the low voltage detection. So we're going to start off by disconnecting the motor from the ESC. That's easily done just by pulling the wires and feeding it through the shock tower, and then unscrewing the 2 screws, one on each side, to remove it. The only other thing we need to do is to disconnect the ESC from the receiver, but first we have to open up the receiver box, and that's easily done by removing the 4 screws that hold it on, 2 for the receiver box itself and 2 for the wire tie. So all we have to do left is to disconnect the ESC from channel 2 of the receiver and then pull it out of the receiver box, just like so, and the ESC is now free. Now we can go ahead and drop the new ESC in place, feeding the 2 wires for the motor through the shock tower, plugging them into the corresponding wires to the motor, black to black, red to red, of course. Sometimes they will be a little tight. Once you get them in, you can put the ESC where it's supposed to sit, screwing in the 2 screws that hold it in place. Of course, we still need to plug in the ESC to the receiver, and just like before, it's as easy as can be. Just gotta slide the connector into the receiver box, just like so. I'm going to pull all the slack in real quick, just like that. And we're gonna plug in to channel 2, just like that. Make sure the wires are out of the way, And then take both the cover and the wire tie, and then hold them down with the same 4 screws that held them in place. The last thing we need to do is to calibrate the new ESC. That's easily done by making sure your transmitter is powered on and pressing down and holding the ESC till it turns red. We're going to let go. It's going to blink once. Push down on the throttle. It's going to blink twice. Full reverse. And then let go. And now the motor spins. And there we go, guys. That is Pyro's level 14 upgrade.